Okay, so I'm doing my research blueprint presentation on the VFX and music and songs and how they correlate to create musical theater and Brackett's plays. Alright, so some little bit of background on Brackett. He was a German poet born in 1898 in Augsburg. After working in the First World War, he became fascinated by the effects of the war, and then he went on to pursue a career in theater in Munich and Berlin. And then when the Nazis came into power, he fled to Germany, and then he later on went to the U.S. in 1941, and he became a resident. He was very against the views of communism, and then after his background with theater, he established many theater groups in Berlin and Munich, and they practiced rebellious behavior against communism. And then some of his most famous works were Mother Courage and Her Children, Fear and Misery of the Third Range, and The Good Woman of Szechuan. So, some little bit of background on my convention that I chose, which was the V effect, or also known as the alienation effect. This is a technique that Beckett used in most all of his plays, and is technically considered a famous technique. Basically, what it is that Beckett wants to separate the audience or distance the audience away from the action that is going on in the play. By doing this, he wants the audience to focus. He wants to keep the audience engaged and interested in the play, so then they would get the message. So he uses techniques such as music, narration, placards, or anything to get the message across, and he wants the audience to focus on that. So another thing was that he makes the situation or scene fresh to the eye. So like I said earlier, he uses music, which is technically considered a familiar technique of theater, to make it more strange. And the strange aspect is that the lyrics and the lyrics of the songs correlate with the purpose or message with the play. So you have to pay attention to the lyrics of the song more than it's just rather than entertainment or just an abrupt thing. So most of the messages in the plays are social and political, and they pertain to the modern society. So like I said, I focus more on song and voice, and Beckett uses songs abruptly throughout the play to remind the audience that he or she is watching the play. Like I said, he doesn't want them to focus more on the emotional effect. To transition into from the play to the songs, he often uses lighting, placards, or just characters switching costumes to let the audience know that they're switching from the play to the song. With the songs and the music, Beckett wants the audience to focus more on what the singer is saying and the voice, more than the facial expressions and the emotional effect that they are giving off. Now I just want to talk about some musical theater background. Musical theater is a dramatic theater that combines songs, spoken dialogue, or dance to tell a story. But in Beckett's case, it tells more of a moral message. Musical theater began in early Europe dates such as 3rd century BCE or 5th century. Ancient Greeks included music and dance in their comics and tragedies in that time period. Alright, so how to create the alienation effect. Before looking at the music material, the author would want you to read his play to consider what was his intentions with the play. The author needs you to study, analyze, and see what's the real purpose of the play, what's his moral message or anything, his social, political effect that he uses. Then after you read it for yourself, he wants to see if that message that he wanted to get across in the play matches what you thought. And then after all that, you will have to read the lyrics that are used in his play and see the connection of how the moral message and the lyrics kind of correlate together. So the example I use from Good Woman is in the end of scene one. In the ending of scene one, the grandfather, the husband, and the niece, they break out in the song, and basically what the song is talking about is greed. The main character, who is the prostitute of the story, her name is Shinte, and what it is that the she takes in people in her home without anything in return, just out of the kindness of her heart. She's just trying to prove herself that she is a good person after all the stuff that she has done. So when she takes all the people in her home, they complain, they talk about the lady, they talk about how she does this and she needs to do this. Not really, they don't appreciate what she's doing, and it's just like they take everything for granted when she didn't really have to do that for them. So basically the song is just talking about, even though the family, the grandfather, the husband, and these is about them, it just shows that the V effect, it's showing how the moral message of greed is presented in the story, and he wants to make it evident to the audience. And I wanted to use my own example and how the V effect is used in my theater experiences. So recently, as you already know, I did my mock solo on how different races are not appreciated in the United States, just based off of the recent events that has happened in the United States with police brutality, the killings of people just because they're based off the color of their skin, how the prejudgment of people, how it can affect the society. So then in another class I had wrote lyrics that kind of pertain to the same thing. So I'm just going to share with you some of the lyrics I wrote, and then yeah. So the lyrics are: fade away from inside of me, oh that feeling I hate so much. With a moment of realization, I will never be enough. I want the blue, and I'm saying that I want them, and everything will be okay. I know. The looks I get, they bother me because I know I am ugly. But with these blue eyes, I know the pain that I have will go away. I won't be ashamed of how I look. All this pain that I've built up because of all the people around me, I want the blue. So based off these lyrics, you can tell that I wrote them just based off of society's judgmental issues, how people judge somebody just based off the color of their skin, and how they think somebody is ugly. It's kind of the same thing about my mock solo. So I just wanted to use that. I use this idea and just to show how I wanted the audience to focus more on what I was saying more than what I was acting, so they can show the V effect. So that's basically how you create a V effect. You just take some narration, dialogue, dance, music, anything to separate the audience from the actual action that is going on in your plays, and show a more moral lesson, a moral lesson, and yeah, use those hand in hand, and then you have Brackett's V effect, alienation effect. Thanks.